Welcome back to Predicting the NFL with Mickey G. It is yours truly, Mickey G, and we're back for our sixth season now, 2017 to 2020, and then we brought it back last year in 2024. Now here it is in 2025, and I am very excited. I'm even doing something new this year where, at least to start the season, I'm putting $5 on every pick that I'm making, just to put my money where my mouth is. So I'll probably give updates on how that's going as well. So historically in week 1, we are 54-41. So we do have a winning record, but not anything super spectacular, but also not too shabby either. We are 4-1 in games of the week. We are 0-4 in upsets. We have yet to get one of those correct. 1-3 in crap fest, so not great there. Teams are 0-3 when they wear their jersey, which is not a good look for me putting on the Josh Hines Allen. But I am 1-2 in my jersey picks, so not super correlation there. Hoping to bring that back even after this week, which is a little giveaway on my pick, but also, come on, we knew what I was picking week 1. A lot of exciting stuff happened this offseason. Don't want to get into it too much because I'll probably yap about it when I get to that team anyways. So let's just jump right into the predictions. So the first game on our list to start off the season is the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. Big Thursday night game, big divisional matchup, and we already had a big move quite recently for the Dallas Cowboys. We had Micah Parsons leaving them, getting traded to the Packers. So the Dallas Mavericks lost Luka Doncic, and now the Dallas Cowboys lost Micah Parsons. So a lot going on there in Dallas, and once again, Dallas fans are calling for Jerry Jones' head, which is totally reasonable. Cowboys I'm not super excited for this year. Obviously, losing Parsons is a big blow to the defense, which has already seen some decline in general. Dak, I'm obviously not the biggest fan of. Their running backs they brought in aren't anything special either. However, they did grab Pickens to pair with CeeDee Lamb, so that's a fun little wide receiver duo there, and that could probably help both of them having that other guy on the other side. But I don't think it's going to be enough, especially against this Eagles team that, while it shifted a few spots around, for the most part, it's the same team that won last year in that Super Bowl victory over the Chiefs. So I think it's a pretty easy one here. We're going with the Eagles. Next is our Friday night game in Brazil. It's the Chiefs at the Chargers. The Chiefs are obviously a good team. They've been a good team for years. It's hard to pick against them. And they didn't really lose a whole lot. They are losing Rashee Rice for the first few weeks, though. But I don't know if that's enough to change things. Whereas LA, on the other hand, they took Keenan Allen back to LA, which I think is a big move there. Pairing him alongside Ladd McConkey, they grabbed another rookie receiver whose name I can't remember at the moment. But they still have QJ, so the more receivers ahead of him, the better. So that should help out a little bit there. They also grabbed Amari Hampton, the rookie, and also our favorite new Pirate, Najee Harris, after his firework incident. So they should be exciting, and Harbaugh's always going to have a tough defense, and I think he's going to be able to do what he wants with the run game this year, like he was kind of unable to last year with all the injuries that happened. So I think they're going to be good this year, but unfortunately, it's hard to pick against the Chiefs, and it's not even a real home game for the Chargers, even though they listed as the home team. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. They're good in weird games. And I think after that loss in the Super Bowl, they're going to be fired up. And also, this is likely Kelsey's last season. He proposed to Taylor Swift. So I wouldn't expect him to be in the NFL much longer. I think he might be a little smarter in that regard than Brady, whereas he will not choose football over family or his wife. So big changes in Casey. They're going to want to have one big fire sale before everything changes. Next is our crap fest of the week. We're starting off already. We have the Cardinals at the Saints. The Saints have Spencer Rattler as a starting quarterback, which is not a great look for obvious reasons, but the guy behind him isn't too great either. Shuck, I mean, not a great dude to have as your backup. He's like a 27-year-old rookie, which is wild. Not something you necessarily want, but the Cardinals aren't super impressive either. Kyler has been there for, 5 or 6 years now, and he's not really impressed me, and he hasn't got anything super spectacular either. But Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. are nice weapons to have for him, but The offense, isn't anything special besides those guys. The defense isn't anything special. But it's special enough that I think they're going to be able to beat the Saints, who are probably going to be the worst team in the league this year. Next is the Steelers at the Jets. They flipped a bit of a quarterback situation here. Fields went to New York and Rodgers went to Pittsburgh. Even though I don't think both are particularly great, I think they're about a wash there in competency levels. The buddy ball for either side is going to be very fun. Fields and Wilson back together again, and Rodgers just chucking up to DK, who can only run one route. So that should be fun there. But I think it's going to come down to the defense. The defense for the Jets last year after they lost Saleh kind of took a dive. Whereas with the Steelers, I don't think the defense is going to be changing much. They still have TJ Watt, still have Cam Hayward. And they added Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay. They did, however, lose Minkah Fitzpatrick in that trade. But I still think they're solid enough in that area that they're going to do what they want defensively, especially against Justin Fields. I think he's going to be lost. Steelers, I think, are going to get this one. Next is the Dolphins at the Colts. We have a new starting quarterback in Indianapolis. That's Daniel Jones. He took an A-Rod spot, or A. Richardson spot, my bad. So while Jones is better than Richardson, I don't think it's a huge push. And Miami in the first few weeks against mediocre to bad teams usually do successful things. And they added Minkah back, which is a fun little move there. So Tua, while he's healthy, theoretically will be able to get the ball to his fast, speedy guys, and I think they're going to be able to overwhelm the Colts with that. Next is the Buccaneers at the Falcons. Buccaneers, I am really hot on this year. Falcons I like too, but Buccaneers I just think are in a great spot. The biggest loss for them is their OC Cohen going to the Jags, which I'm super pumped for. But I still think Baker's going to have a nice solid season here. I still think that Mike Evans is going to get 1,000 yards. They brought in Mika Ibuka from the Buckeyes. I'm a big fan of him. And, Bucky Irving coming into his second season, I think is going to be very exciting for them. On still a solid option at tight end. And, with a lot of those injured guys coming healthier this year at the offensive line, I think they're going to be good. And their defense is still a lot of fun as well. Falcons, Michael Penix getting the start this year. Drake London, I think, is going to be very excited about that. Maybe even Kyle Pitts will have his season. Maybe it's this year that we have Kyle Pitts break out. Also, we're looking at Bijan. Everyone's super excited for Bijan this season, and I think that's totally fair. I think he's going to have another good season. But unfortunately, I think the Buccaneers might be a top 3 team in the NFC, a top 5, top 7 team in the NFL, so I'm going with the Buccaneers here. Next is the Giants at the Commanders. I think the Giants are going to be a little better than people expect, but they also have the toughest record, or the toughest schedule in football, and I think that's going to be the big blow for them. Russ, I do think, is going to be a lot better than people expect, but I don't think it's going to matter against this Commanders team that did a lot to try to help out their guy and to improve things. They re-signed Terry McLaurin. They brought in Debo as a nice number 2 option. They brought back Zach Ertz. They did some exciting stuff with the running back position. We got Bill that's going to get some time a lot more now, along with Eckler, which I think is an exciting move there. But on the New York side, I don't think their offense is just there yet. They still only have that one guy receiving the ball in Neighbors. And they really, Tracy I like, but I don't know if it's enough there at the backfield, to make me too excited for it. The defense, they have a good D-line, but the rest of the spots aren't anything to be writing home about. Whereas Washington, I think, did a good job of trying to complete most of their positions, and I think they're going to have a solid season here. So Washington gets this one. Next is our jersey game of the week, baby. We got the Jags jersey on, and I'm expecting big things, especially from 41 and 44. Trayvon Walker having another 10-sack season last year, and I think that's going to continue. He's also had a sack in every first game of his career. So I think that's going to be a tough thing for Bryce Young to handle. I'm liking what Campanile is doing. The little bit that he showed in preseason without giving stuff away, I think was very exciting and a lot more than we've been getting the last few years for the Jaguars defense. So I think they're going to do exciting things to the defensive side. I'm excited for it, and I'm hoping that they mess things up. Also, offensively, obviously, we have to talk about Trevor Lawrence, who I'm expecting to have big season this year with a real coach coaching Liam Cohen and Udinsky running the offense. They brought in Tim Patrick to help out with that. They drafted Travis Hunter to help with that. Drafted 2 running backs to help with that. Brenton Strange, I think, is continuing to get better. And ETN and Bigsby are both solid spots in the back already. So I think their offense has a lot of weapons to play with, and I think their O-line definitely improved from last year. And their defense also, I think, is going to improve just from the coaching change in general. So big things there. And Panthers didn't do a lot to impress me. They lost Adam Thielen, and they lost Jalen Coker to injury. They didn't do much else besides draft Ted McMillan to really improve things there. I don't think that O-line's still super exciting. And their defense is really quite bad, actually. So I think the Jags will be able to run away with it and get some points and do some stuff on defense to terrorize Bryce Young. So Jags getting that one, baby. Next is the Bengals at the Browns. This is our upset of the week. You know, a lot of people are super low on the Browns, and I don't fully understand why. It's a pretty similar roster to what they had when Flacco brought them to the playoffs just a few years ago, and now he's back. The Joku's over the moon about this, super excited that his man is there. Their defense is still going to be good, and they have Myles Garrett. And who on Cincinnati's line is blocking him? The Browns also have a good enough defense that they might be able to slow down Jamar and Higgins and those guys. And I think there might be the team that can do that. Bengals don't have anyone on defense besides Hendrickson, and does he even really care about being there? You know, he got a raise for this season, but he's gone next year, so he got pretty much what he wanted. So he might be a little bit written off this season. I mean, he's still going to be good, obviously, but is there that push when you already don't think the team is where it should be in general? So Browns are my upset pick of the week. Next is the Raiders at the Patriots. Both teams, I am excited to see how they do. Raiders, I think, are going to be a lot better than people expect. Carroll's a good coach, and he loves Geno Smith. And with Bowers as a nice option, they brought back Amari Cooper to Las Vegas. I don't even know if he even played in Vegas before for the Raiders. I think he might have been an Oakland guy. Jacoby Myers is up in the air whether or not he's going to be there the full season, but while he's there, I think he's going to like Geno Smith a lot. They also drafted Ashton Jeanty, which is a huge draft pick for them to push that running game. We know what they can do with Carroll can do with a solid running game. Patriots, on the other hand, they brought in Stephon Diggs to help out our dear friend Drake May. They also brought in Vrabel to start that team up a little bit, which should be exciting things there in New England. So kudos to them. They are at home, and that's probably why I'm going to give the edge to them, but I think this should be a better game than some may expect. Next is the Niners at the Seahawks. Niners are coming back as healthy as they can be. By the end of the season, they should be full strength. And usually when they come off a rough season like they had last year, then they go boom the year after, and they're back. Seahawks, on the other hand, they got rid of Geno, and they instead grabbed Sam Darnold for some reason, which isn't a great look in my opinion. They did grab Cooper Kupp as well, but they lost Lockett and they lost DK. Still have JSN, of course, but besides that, there's not a whole lot that excites me about that team, especially defensively or offensive line-wise. Whereas San Francisco, I just think, has the better coaching, the better players, and I think they're going to go out there and win this easy. Next is the Texans at the Rams. As a hater of the AFC South, I'm not super sold on Texans being the team to win the division this year. Obviously, I think the Jags can do that. Rams, on the other hand, I think are going to be battling with the Niners for that number 1 spot and potentially for the number 1 spot in the whole conference. The Rams gave the Eagles their best fight last year in the playoffs, and I think there's a reason for that. You know, Matt Stafford may be dead. He may have been dead for a few weeks now, but I still think his corpse is good enough to go out there, especially with Devontae Adams as a new offensive threat against the opposing teams. That I think that's big enough, and I think they're going to go all over Texans, and especially with Jared First on that D-line, he's going to tear up that offensive line, and Stroud's going to be scared at what's coming at him. Next is the Titans at the Broncos. Broncos have the best defense in the league, and the Titans have Cam Ward at QB, who I'm not even close to being sold on. Even though I'm not sold on Bo Nix, it doesn't matter when the rest of the team around him is still solid enough that they're going to be able to smash the Titans. Also, I hope the Titans go like 0-17 because I hate them. So Broncos getting that one easy. Next is the Lions at the Packers. This should be a good, solid game. The Lions did lose both their coordinators this year. Johnson went to the Bears, and Glenn went to the Jets. So that's going to be a lot of upheaval there in Detroit, and I think that's going to have them take at least a few steps back, at least to start the season. Still have a really good roster offensively and defensively, but that definitely shakes some things up for sure. Packers, on the other hand, they added Parsons, who is going to be taking some epidurals apparently to help him through week 1. Apparently has some sort of back issue or something, which, that happens, but I think he's still one of the best players in the NFL, period. So if he can just get a few snaps on there that can disrupt stuff, that's enough really to make some plays. And I also think Jordan Love's going to continue to get better. I liked what I saw from him. Obviously he has some plays, but he's a gunslinger. You're going to see those plays. You got him with Brett Favre, okay? You're going to get him with Jordan Love now. So I think you just got to be ready for that. But the Packers are at home, and I do like their coaching stability a lot better than the Lions' instability. So I'm going with Green Bay here. And next we have the Ravens at the Bills. This is our game of the week, a Sunday night game. Two of the best teams in the NFL, probably two of the best 3 teams besides the Chiefs in the AFC. We had our MVP battle here, Lamar and Josh Allen. I think the Bills improved a little bit, and the Ravens also just looked a little better. They added D-Hop for some reason onto their team. They had a little bit of excitement in that wide receiver room, but he's also a little washed, so I don't totally care about that much. Here's the thing. Bills are at home. It's a primetime game, and Allen does a lot of times show out in those, so I like the Bills. I like Josh Allen. I'm going with them in a close one and a great game to start off our Sunday night series. And finally, our last game is our Monday night game. This is the Vikings at the Bears. Vikings decided to have J.J. McCarthy, the handoff merchant. Not super sold on him. Coming off also a huge injury is not tough, especially when you don't have any NFL experience. But he does have Justin Jefferson to throw to, and bringing Adam Thielen back, especially with Addison missing the first few weeks on suspension, is a huge move to help out a young rookie QB. That veteran presence of a solid guy. I mean, he helped out Bryce Young a lot last year. I think that was a huge move from Minnesota. I also just love KOC. I think he's a fantastic coach. I just want him to get a quarterback that I actually enjoy watching. Ever since they got rid of Kirk Cousins, they brought in Sam Darnold, who I don't like, and now they have J.J. McCarthy, who I hate. So it's just not a lot of that I like there. Caleb Williams found his new coach in Ben Johnson. I think that should help out the Bears a lot. But I don't know if they improved a ton at any of the positions enough for me to truly care about that change a ton. I think the Vikings are going to be in a slightly better spot just because of their overall team makeup. And also, Brian, our favorite defensive coordinator, Mr. Flores, is going to put Williams in hell. So I'm going with the Vikings here in this one. A bit of a surprise pick there. Not really if you know my likings and agendas, but that is all for this week. That is our fantastic 16 game slate for week 1. I'm so glad that football's back. I hope that you're also so glad. I hope you're glad that I'm back making these videos, and that you come and watch all of them, and then tell your friends to watch all of them and all that. But that's all we have for this week. Make sure to come back next week to see how I did and see if I made money or if I am terrible at sports gambling. So thanks for showing up, and I will hopefully see you next week.
6,700.